So I'm very happy to be presenting this time because I usually attend the different presentation of the speaker, and it's always very insightful. So I hope I will keep up the level up, and it will also rely on the participation of everyone. So feel free to put your question in the chat, and from time to time, Yana will pick up a question, and we'll have an interaction during the presentation. Nicolas Brie, I'm helping currently Orange Innovation Manager in Africa. There are 20 of them to develop their innovation project locally. Previously, I have created and managed the intrapreneurship program of Orange for 3 years. And previously, I created and managed another open innovation program, which is called Imagine with Orange, inviting internet users to co-create new products and services with Orange Innovation team. Today, I'm going to focus on the entrepreneurship part, getting into more details about the book, which is called The Entrepreneur Factory. And so entrepreneurship, we called it innovation from the inside, and we will go through 10 steps to build an entrepreneurship program. Then I will speak about my current experience about nimble innovation at Orange Africa and what we try to achieve between exploration and exploitation stages of innovation. And I will leave you with a short tool, which is an assessment of your innovation organization in order to scale up your innovation organization. As an introduction, a few words about what we include in open innovation at Orange. Basically, there is acculturation through learning expedition. There is this ideation part, inviting employees and inviting internet users all over the world to participate to the design of innovative solution. And our platform is called Imagine with Orange. We organize also frequently hackathon, co-creation days, mainly with coders and designers to design prototypes during 2 or 3 days. And we have a permanent platform to expose Orange digital resources to developers, which is called Orange Developers. We have 2 kinds of incubators. The Orange Fab Network is dedicated for startup. There are 15 of them, mainly in Europe, in Africa, but also in San Francisco and in Asia. And it's a 3 months incubation program where we try to connect startups which already have a product and customers. We try to connect them with the relevant Orange business unit so they can go to the market together. And the other kind of incubator is the Entrepreneur Studio. I will come back on this because it's the incubation of employees building internal startup at Orange. Last tool, last device is Orange Venture. So it's a corporate venture, corporate capital venture. And it's mainly focused on European startup, and there is a dedicated fund for Africa as well. So I will focus on Entrepreneur Studio, as shows the arrow. And then I will focus on what we do at Orange Africa, which goes from ID collection to incubation of project. Based on the entrepreneurship experience at Orange and sharing view with other innovation managers, entrepreneurship manager, mainly in France, Germany, UK. I have designed a 10-step approach to shape an entrepreneurship program. It incorporates the experience of 40 corporations from Europe, mainly. I will not go in detail in the 10 steps, but I will dig in on 3 steps which are for me, in my experience, the most delicate one to handle. So the first step is about defining why you want to start an entrepreneurship program and how it can be aligned with the strategy of the corporation. Do you have more an innovation purpose or transformation purpose or human resources purpose? Second is you have to define the value proposition for the employees to entice them to participate to the program and give them rough ideas of a target and a timing for them. Third is sponsorship. Sponsorship is a delicate step because sometimes because you have to balance between selecting a sponsor for your program who has a lot of visibility and who will bring support to your program with this visibility. But sometimes with the visibility comes a reduced accessibility. so sometimes you have a sponsor who comes for the first day of the program and you never see him again, which is not good because the entrepreneurship program, it's just like any other innovation. You have to test, you have to fail, you have to improve, you have to iterate. And the sponsor is supposed to help you on this. And so pieces of advice from other corporations in the book is two things. One thing is to have a visible sponsor and who comes with a deputy sponsor who will be less visible, but we will work with you on a monthly basis to improve the program. The deputy sponsor. Another thing is not to have a sponsor with a single person, but to have an innovation committee who will be your sponsor. In this innovation committee, you will have representatives from the executive committee, from the business unit, and they will be your sponsor, and you can have a meeting with them on a monthly basis as well to improve the program. Fourth is the process. Many people focus on the process. How do you identify employees who can be entrepreneurs? How do you select them? How do you incubate them? But in my experience, the process is more or less always the same across the 40 companies I have incorporated into the book. But in my experience, what is difficult is step number 5. So step number 5 is the coaching of the entrepreneur. What I mean by this, it's one thing to say to the entrepreneur, okay, during the incubation, we are going to follow the design thinking, lean startup approach. That is to say, we will prototype your idea, we will mock up your concept, and you will test it with the end user to capture insight, to capture whether the user sees the benefit of this value proposition, and then you will iterate on this, and we will try to do this process, this cycle, prototype, test, iterate within 2 or 3 months maximum. So this is one thing to explain that, and this everybody can understand it. I think it's quite simple. And this is another thing to execute it. And at this point, you need a close coaching of the entrepreneur. First pitfall is the entrepreneur who falls in love with his product. So he spends all this time developing the prototype and even never go and to see the customers. So the coach is very important to help the entrepreneur step back from his product, help him to book the meeting with the target user, and second pitfall, help the entrepreneur capture the insight and listen to the user, even if the user says, I don't see the benefit of this value proposition. Well, that's an insight. You have to listen to this. You have to iterate based on this. Eventually, you might pivot, but you have to listen to what the users say. Number 6 is another and last delicate step is the business unit commitment. It depends on the type of entrepreneurship program you want to set up, but in many programs, the innovation project from the entrepreneur want at a certain point to leverage on the asset of the corporation. And you can manage this, this leverage if you have a business unit which is interested by UID from the start, very upstream, and who has been part of the development of the project. So when comes the time to distribute, commercialize the product, they are already deeply committed to the product and service that will go to market. The pitfall, the hurdle here is to have business units who participate to the beginning of the adventure, helping to select the entrepreneur, but afterwards who don't find much time to collaborate with the entrepreneur. A good piece of advice at this case is to have in the entrepreneur team someone who is a representative from the business unit. So the business unit allocates a resource from its unit to the entrepreneur project. That's helped a lot to develop this very important relationship. The next step is defining the exit scenarios of the entrepreneur program. To incorporate some kind of societal impact into your program. We've seen many programs among the 40s studies that incorporate societal target within their program. Step number 9 is articulating the entrepreneurship program with the other innovation program that might be existing within the company, and explain how it complements the pre-existing program. And step 10 is defining the value that you will target, defining the metrics, the target that you will try to reach. And it's the step 10, but my advice is to align on the metrics with your sponsor, with the business unit, with the different customer of the program before you start the program and not in the middle of the program. In complement to this approach, which is in details in the book, there are 20 entrepreneur stories that shows the different output that you can have through an entrepreneur factory. We've spoken a little bit about the approach, the different steps, but for me, it's very important to understand that an entrepreneurship program is not only about designing innovation, not only about the process, it's also very much about the human being, the human participation of the employees, and the cultures that you try to spread through this program. And so to show this, to illustrate this, I'm going to show you a short video about a selection committee at Orange. Here we go. Yes. I hope the sound will not be too too strong.
L'intrapreneur studio, c'est de permettre à des salariés qui sont dans le groupe, qui ont une idée et qui ont envie de la développer en mode start-up, en restant dans le groupe, donc avec et pour Orange, l'opportunité de faire ce projet. On a déjà eu 2 saisons. Aujourd'hui, on est là pour écouter des projets qui ont été présélectionnés.
Pourquoi un tel engouement pour l'intrapreneuriat chez Orange ? Je pense que c'est un des signes du changement de culture. Donc aujourd'hui, on a vu des gens qui ont fait des projets, qui vont aller sur le marché. On a vu des gens qui ont arrêté des projets, qui sont sortis heureux, grandis. Et donc voilà, ça bouge, il faut tenter, il faut oser. Et je pense que ça commence à rentrer aussi comme étant le plaisir d'entreprendre. Donc c'est une super bonne nouvelle.
Moi, je vais défendre un projet sur le voyage. En voyage, c'est très bien parce que ça fait rêver tout le monde. Mais c'est vrai que là, depuis un mois et demi, on était assez stressés. Difficile de dormir la nuit. Et puis là, non, maintenant, ça va. En fait, on a beaucoup travaillé, on est prêt. Et donc, c'est le plaisir plus d'avoir la chance d'être là et de pouvoir défendre nos idées.
I'm really happy because it's just the final part of all of this job. So I'm really happy to be there. And let's see what happens later.
Nous représentons la Guinée et nous avons comme projet Orange Fintechnique. On était un peu stressés avant les pitchs, mais voilà, c'est un gros soulagement maintenant.
Bon, j'espère qu'on sera retenu parce que vu la réaction des membres du jury, j'ai une ferme conviction que notre projet sera retenu.
Je porte le projet Dépôt Marchand que je viens de présenter et je suis vraiment satisfait de ma présentation. J'étais un peu stressé, mais après cette présentation, je suis vraiment soulagé et fier d'avoir participé à cette aventure.
On a vécu ce soir plein d'émotions, ça nous rappelle des super souvenirs avec Alexis. On est très contents pour les futurs sélectionnés de cette saison 3. J'espère qu'ils vont vivre la même aventure que nous.
Depuis, ça se passe très bien. On est allé plusieurs fois sur le terrain. On a pivoté un petit peu, on a adapté et on utilise toujours cette démarche Lean Startup qui est hyper bien adaptée.
I must say that I'm very impressed about the quality of the ideas that I heard. The collection of ideas is very impressive. The candidates were all very well prepared. The speeches were very nicely done.
Et vraiment les gagnants, c'est des projets qui sont très intéressants, qui nous prennent à cœur, qui sont émouvants. Et on aimerait combiner ça aussi l'année prochaine en Belgique et de lancer un entrepreneur studio chez nous.
Ce qui m'a impressionné sur cette session, c'est quand même l'incroyable qualité des pitchs. Ils sont devenus professionnels, comme avec des vraies startups que l'on rencontre face à des venture capitalistes. Et la deuxième chose, c'est le nombre de projets internationaux avec plusieurs dossiers africains et un dossier européen en Espagne cette année.
On est super.
Here we go. So I always share this video because for me it shows that entrepreneurship program is not only about the process and unearthing, unfolding innovative solution. It's also about really the human transformation. And here you see people are speaking about the pleasure to undertake. They are speaking about emotion related to innovation. And of course, you've seen that they were people from different continents, from Europe, of course, but also from Africa, and that contribute to the transformation of the culture of our company.
Before we move forward, I have one question here to ask. That's regarding the duration of one, how you call it in the video, season. How long does it? How long is the run for the employees, for the entrepreneurs, so they can have enough time to iterate, to go through the whole cycle?
Okay, so it's the incubation process. And it depends very much on the target that you have for the program, for the factory. So some companies, their target is really to test the market with a prototype. So we could say it the problem solution fit, the fit between the problem and the solution is materialized with a mock-up, which can be a video, which can be some mobile interfaces and so on. And so in this case, the intrapreneurship program is usually twice 3 months. 3 months to develop the first prototype and 3 other months to develop a second prototype. So around 6 months. In the case of Orange, the target was different. It was not problem solution fit, it was product market fit. So it was not a prototype, but it was or mock-up, but it was really a minimum viable product, and release 1 and release 2. And so the duration of the program at Orange was more of 4 to 5 3-month cycles, so around 1 year to 1.5 years. But it really depends on the objective of the incubation, and if you want, whether you want to hand over to the business unit after a problem solution fit demonstration, or whether you want to hand over to a business unit after the problem solution fit. I don't know if it
Okay,
answers the question.
Yeah, I guess it answers and also well summarizes the approach to the timing. So
okay, so the last slide regarding entrepreneurship is that you can build metrics regarding the value creation of such a program. Of course, on the business dimension, new services, cost saving, digitalization of pre-existing services. Another metric is that you get close to the customers, because with this logic of short cycle where you test your concept with customers, you build a new relationship with the users. You can have metrics related to positive impact, environmental impact, societal impact. And the last dimension is the blue one, the transformation. Literally, you give the possibility for the employees to be the change they want to see in the company. And that's very powerful. Now I will move to what I do since the beginning of this year in Africa. We have initiated an innovation program that we call Local Innovation. It's about, very simple, it's about sticking to local specificities in Africa. We are present in 20 countries, and they all have their local specificities. And building on the specificities, being more agile, more reactive to design innovative solutions. So it leverages open innovation, cooperation, especially with startups. It leverages the ideas of Orange employees and Orange business unit locally. And it builds on the lean innovation process, again, with user-centric design, with this short cycle of test, learn, and iterate. And we can call it bottom-up innovation, because it's not top-down innovation coming from a central innovation division. A few examples of success of this kind of local innovation is when the innovation really makes an impact on people's life. In this case, we call it transformative innovation. A very powerful illustration of that is Orange Money Service. It's a service that addresses the problem of under-bankerized people in Africa. Only less than 20% have access to a bank account. So when they want to transfer money, they cannot use a bank account. They have to get some cash and give it hand to hand to the person they want to give the money to. Or in some cases, it's almost incredible, but if they want to send money back to their family out of town, they give the money to the bus driver that goes in that direction, and the family goes to the bus stop at the end of the trip and get the money from the bus driver. Of course, you can imagine that it doesn't always work well. And so people in Kenya had the idea to use the mobile. It's under bancarization in Kenya, but it's a high penetration rate of mobile in Kenya. And so they said, we don't have a bank account, but why can't we use our mobile to transfer money? And so the Kenyan operator, Safaricom, enables this service with a simple SMS to transfer money from one mobile user to another mobile user without any credit card, without any bank account. Orange captured this trend and built a platform to develop this service over the 20 countries where it operates in Africa. And of course, this service comes with local Orange Money partners. That's the picture that you see on this slide. So basically, anyone can be an Orange Money partner. And in this small, very, very small boutique, any Orange Money user can deposit money, cash out money, can cash in money to feed his Orange Money account, and then he can transfer money with a simple SMS. Orange extended the service, so now people can pay their bills with Orange Money. And also, you can pay at some shops. So not online, but you can pay online, but you can pay offline as well to a merchant with the Orange Money service. So it really makes an impact on everyday life of the inhabitants, and that's really what we call transformative innovation. This service, we did not invent it. It's a low-tech SMS. It comes to the birth of mobile infrastructure, so it's really a basic. But we developed this platform and over the 20 countries, and now it has 50 million users in Africa. Another example is to work on the digital divide. To include the people in Africa, they need a connection, but moreover, or in complement, they also need a smartphone. And so Orange partnered with Google to develop a smartphone which is called Sensa, and which is a very economical smartphone for less than $30. So the challenge that we had to face in Africa with the 20 countries to develop this local innovation was to define what they call at Strategizer the exploration part, where you validate your concept and the business model. You collect evidences of your business model, proofs, to the exploitation part, where the new business model move to the existing engine, the execution engine, and will be distributed, commercialized, will be scaled by the entity. So here you have a quite straightforward approach, but we know that in reality, the approach is more like this. I like very much this drawing because it shows the way that you have to iterate a lot before you can move from exploration to exploitation. So to be able to explore a lot of innovative solutions, we have focused on the exploration and experiment part with the local innovation team in Africa. So we have a first step, which is exploration, where we collect ideas, the local innovation manager collect ideas from the business unit, from the employees. We have some kind of ideation workshop, and we assess the potential of the idea with two tools. One is the business model canvas, with the 9 squares of the business model canvas. The other one, if it's possible, is to bind the idea with a mock-up showing the customer journey on a smartphone. So we design a few mobile interfaces that shows how the service could run on a mobile. Then the second part is to experiment. Experiment is really taking your mock-up with you and testing the value proposition with the users. So through physical interviews with consumer or with corporate, and iterate. If you are able to do different runs between interviews, you can iterate the value proposition and fine-tune your service. The aim is that the benefit of the service being immediately understood by the customers. Based on this, you come back to the innovation committee, and whether the innovative solution can be cancelled, the project can be stopped if the feedback from the experiment are not good enough, or it can be validated, and then the innovative solution move to the business unit which is supporting the innovative solution from the start. They are involved in the ideation part. So it's hand over to a business unit, and the success stories are shared across the region, and in this case we look for regional replication. So if each country in Africa, at Orange Africa, test 5 ideas every semester, that means 10 ideas per year, and as we have 20 countries, we would be able to test 200 innovative solutions per year, which would be an amazing innovation portfolio. A few examples of what we call local innovation solution. I've mentioned Orange Money, but we work also on some nimble solution that helps everyday lives of our users. For example, in Ivory Coast, mobile money, Orange Money users said, we don't always know which stores accept the Orange Money payment. And so Orange Ivory Coast partners with a startup, Tuseka, to design a map, GeoShop, where the user can find the nearest store that accepts Orange Money. So it's like visualizing Orange Money shops on a Google map, in a way. Another idea that became a reality in Burkina Faso is letting students handling their meal tickets on their Orange Money account. So they can buy meal tickets through their Orange Money account, and they can pay at the restaurant with their Orange Money service, just sending an SMS to the provider of the meals. So this is a great impact for the students, especially in this time of sanitary crisis, because it's a contactless service. And it's a tremendous improvement for the owner of the restaurant, for the manager of the restaurant, because he doesn't have any more to input all the paper tickets in his finance system. It's completely automatic with the Orange Money API connection. Last example with Orange Tunisia. They realized that gamers in Tunisia have to pay inside the game. You know, it's called in-app purchase, but they are forbidden to get the Tunisian money out of the country. So Orange partnered with a local aggregator, Galactech, local video game, mobile game aggregators, and we connected with our what we call carrier billing APIs that lets all the users pay with their Orange bill when they want to proceed to in-app purchases. So to develop this community, I have 3 main levers. One is working on the culture and the organization and the tools. Another one is individual coaching. And the last one is challenges, stimulation across the country, so that one success in one country can be replicated in the other countries. And the channels that I use for this, we use a WhatsApp group, we use enterprise social network, but the main channels is a bi-monthly innovation radio show, where we invite people to share their experience about innovation culture, innovation organization. That's the first item on the slide. But we have also the local innovation manager who share their success in their countries. And that's more the third square, the third item, connecting inter-countries replication of the success. Well, this is some agendas of the radio innovation. And now I will go through the tool that the last part of my presentation. It's only about a tool that I want to share with you. It's about testing your innovation organization. So this tool, it's a short self-assessment to know how your organization for innovation fares across 10 key areas. So it delivers you at the end of this questionnaires a ranking, which shows over these 10 key areas what is your level, and if your level can be improved. For example, here we can see that the level on purpose or the level here on the business unit commitment is not so high. Then with this quantitative ranking come a few advices to illustrate the point. Let me show you just a second how it runs on the web. So so you can find this tool on my blog. I put the link in the presentation, and I can put the link again.
Yeah, you can as well just copy it in the chat. So
yes, exactly.
We can access this.
Where is the chat conversation? Okay. So here is a link, and the presentation of the tool is this way. So you click on the start button, and you have the question, and you answer. You rank yourself on the different question, whether you are at a low level or whether you are at a high level, and then you move forward like this. And the question, of course, the ranking is interesting, but the question in itself is supposed to let you think over your innovation organization and give you a few hints on how to improve it. So I go quite fast because I want to show you the result.
Right away. So basically the process itself is already kind of like working on your and making your program better.
Exactly. So that's it questions how your innovation is organized and whether you have done this or not. Your answer will define a specific rank.
Is it as well based on those case studies of 40 plus organizations that were the basis of the factory concept, or is it just based on the general overview?
It's completely aligned with the 10 step of the factory concept. So the 10 areas correspond to the 10 steps that we've been through. But it's not dedicated to an entrepreneurship program. It's broader. It's really about an innovation program, whether it can be open innovation, entrepreneurship, or whatsoever. So here is the ranking. And so for each area, you have your pieces of advice to let you improve your program. So I come back to the presentation and to the last slide of my presentation, which is basically this about, thank you. You can find more information about innovation and open innovation on my blog, Rapid Innovation in Digital Time. A few takeaways, I've mentioned it with the experience of local innovation in Africa, but to find out the problems that you're trying to solve is really the key to well start the innovation project. This way you can really capture customer value. Test, learn, and iterate. I think I've mentioned it 5 or 6 times during the presentation. Speaking of the innovator, of the entrepreneur, the difficulty is to manage to be stubborn, to be determined, and flexible at the same time. Flexible meaning being able to listen to the user feedback. When you go for a new innovation program, for me, the most important is first to integrate before looking for success. Make it stick with the current organization, with the current processes, and once it runs, you will reach success. And this way, you will, of course, unleash cooperative energies and allies within the company instead of people putting obstacles to your innovation program. Thank you very much. Don't hesitate to contact on LinkedIn if you have a further question. And I think we have we have some time for some question now.
Yes, that's correct. I guess we can have like 2 questions till the end of the session. So if you have any, you can just unmute yourself and jump into discussion. If not, I also have 1 question left from my side. I mean, the entrepreneurship and this kind of innovation is always more looking within the internal ecosystem and like boosting it and cultivating it within your organization. But what's your attitude towards, and how do you rank the importance of the external ecosystems and of the collaborations with the other corporations? I mean, that's a bit kind of a side topic, but still that would be interesting to find out your point of view.
You see, it really depends on the reason why, the purpose of your program. So for example, in Africa, the purpose is to transform the culture globally of each Orange entity, and to spread this innovation culture. And so for this, we are looking for quick fixes, quick innovation success. not especially building another Eiffel Tower, you know, but reaping for rapid success. And so maybe I've been a little bit too fast on this, but when we have the two-step, explore and experiment the innovative solution in Africa, during these two steps, we try to see whether this idea could be faster achieved with the collaboration with the startup. And that's the reason why in the three examples I have mentioned, there are two of them which are a collaboration with a startup. So to put it in another word, we don't want to do it ourselves at 100%. What we want to do is to see that we can achieve this innovative solution in a fast timeline. That's really the purpose of what we do in Africa. And for this, we have to build it with other people that can bring expertise that we might have after 1 year or 10 years, but those people, those startups, they have it right away. And they also bring the energy. They also bring this energetic spirit that will fast forward the project.
Yeah, spirit is always very, very important.
Very important.
Can't agree more. And how do you actually then within those regional units, how do you structure the communication, or how is it going, the communication between those doing the innovation and those operating on like standard level, just running the offices there?
I'm not sure I understood. How do we run the collaboration between Orange and the startup, or between the?
No, within the Orange, for example, within the Orange Tunisia, how is the innovation department or like innovation unit, those who are within that process, how they're interacting, and what's the attitude towards them? How easy is for them to communicate and find support with the just regular management or finance department or anyone else from the general Orange team?
Well, there are two main opportunities. One is during the ID collection, where we set up this IDs workshop. Then each business unit, each internal department, like the customer service, customer care department, send one representative to the ideation workshop. So they are involved in the ideas that will come up out of the workshop and that will be further explored and experimented. Another window is that's another part of my job. I'm scouting startups all over Africa, and when I found that there are startups that have an interesting solution that could be accelerated with Orange money or with other Orange asset, I push the startup. I push the startup toward the innovation team locally, and they connect with the business unit that might work with the startup. And so it's the beginning of the story. So the first contact are difficult to set up because we have to interrupt the business unit in their daily job. They don't know what they can expect from the startup. Mostly they say, you know, the not invented here syndrome. That is to say, what the startup does, we can do it ourselves. And so I always answer to this, you can do it for sure, but when? Can you do it for tomorrow? Because we are interested for doing it for tomorrow, not in 6 months, not in 1 year, and so on. So the first step are always a bit difficult, but look for integration first. So be polite, be patient. And then when you come back with a second startup, with a third startup, surprisingly, the connection go very, very much faster because they have perceived the value added.
Great, thanks for the answer. So I would give probably the last chance to the audience to ask the questions.
All the questions are to be asked in French.
No, that might be tricky for me then.
I have a question in terms of the step 7, which is the exit of business development. How important is the emotional element there? If the idea doesn't go further, or there are constraints in going in the business development. So do people accept it easily, or they fall too much in love with their product?
Very relevant question. That people get emotional with their project, definitely. And in the selection part, we also look for people who are very committed to the project because they know that they will put a lot of power forward to the project. So the disadvantage of this is that if you have to cancel the project, or if you have to pivot the project and move a little bit away from the original idea of the entrepreneur, it's quite difficult. So that's the importance of the coach and the business unit commitment, because they will reflect more maybe the voice of the target user. They will be more objective, and also the importance is to have clear metrics of what you expect from the experiment. So I assume that this target user will value my proposition of innovative services, and I will be right if 80% of them subscribe to a free trial for this service. Even if the service doesn't exist, it doesn't matter if they can try this. So you have to define this kind of metrics. 80% of the people interviewed will say they will go for a free trial, for example. So that's the kind of metrics that will help the entrepreneur realize whether he's far away from the 80% or not so far away from the 80%.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you for the very structured presentation, very interesting use cases as well. We will share the recording within our knowledge library, so even those who missed the conversation today can rewatch it and then reach out to you with their questions or suggestions for collaboration.